My daughter used my money for a $25,000 vacation without my permission, so I canceled it. I'm Kay, 58 years old, an accountant from Boston. For 12 years, I've been a single mother to my daughter Melissa after a divorce that left deep scars. I always prided myself on financial responsibility, teaching my daughter the importance of earning what you spend. Nothing could have prepared me for the shock of discovering $25,000 in unauthorized charges on my accounts. The betrayal cut even deeper when I realized my own daughter was behind it all. Trust between a mother and daughter is sacred, but when that trust is violated, tough decisions must be made. Let me know where you're watching from, and hit that subscribe button if you want to hear how I taught my daughter an unforgettable lesson about financial responsibility. My life has been built on numbers and responsibility. For 30 years, I've worked as an accountant, climbing my way up from junior bookkeeper to senior financial advisor at one of Boston's most respected firms. Financial stability wasn't just my profession. It became my religion after my divorce from Melissa's father, Robert, 12 years ago. The divorce wasn't just emotionally devastating. It was financially crippling. Robert had always been the higher earner as a corporate lawyer, and suddenly, I was managing a mortgage car payments and raising our 15-year-old daughter alone. I remember those first months, sitting at our kitchen table until 2 in the morning, spreadsheets scattered everywhere, calculating how to maintain Melissa's standard of living without drowning in debt. I made countless sacrifices. I sold our family home and downsized to a modest 3-bedroom apartment closer to my office. Vacations became staycations. Designer clothes were replaced with smart shopping at outlet malls. I brown-bagged lunches and skipped my morning coffee shop stops. Every dollar saved went toward ensuring Melissa wouldn't feel the financial strain of our new reality. Despite the changes, Melissa and I grew closer during those years. We had our special mother-daughter shopping trips where I taught her how to spot quality items on sale. We took weekend drives to New Hampshire to hike instead of flying to resorts. Our bond strengthened through these shared experiences, and I believed she was absorbing my values about money management. Melissa was always bright. She excelled in her communication and marketing classes, earning a scholarship that covered half her tuition at Northeastern University. I covered the rest, working overtime and dipping into my retirement savings, a financial sin in my profession, but my daughter's education seemed worth the sacrifice. After graduation, I watched with pride as she secured a position at a digital marketing agency. Her starting salary wasn't huge, but it was enough for her to begin building her own financial foundation. At 24, she moved in with her boyfriend Jake, a graphic designer she'd met at work. Their downtown apartment was small but trendy, located in one of those up-and-coming neighborhoods that real estate agents love to hype. That's when I began noticing subtle changes. Melissa's wardrobe suddenly featured Michael Kors and Kate Spade labels. Her Instagram showed dinners at restaurants where entrees start at $40. Weekends were spent at boutique hotels in Vermont or Cape Cod. When I gently asked about these expenses, she'd brush off my concerns with vague references to promotions or Jake's freelance gigs. "Mom, I work hard. I deserve nice things," became her standard response, often delivered with an eye roll that transported me back to her teenage years. I had given Melissa access to one of my credit cards during her college years, strictly for emergencies. After graduation, I suggested she return it, but she insisted on keeping it just in case. Against my better judgment, I agreed. After all, she'd never abused it before, typically charging only the occasional tank of gas when money was tight before payday. As for my own financial situation, I maintained several credit cards for different purposes, a strategy I learned in my profession to maximize rewards and track spending categories. One for groceries and daily expenses, another for travel with no foreign transaction fees, and a premium card for larger purchases that offered better fraud protection. I also kept a small business card for professional expenses, Each had substantial credit limits due to my excellent credit history. Melissa, I don't mean to pry, but financial stability comes before luxury. I told her during Sunday dinner at my place last year. She had arrived carrying a new Gucci handbag that I knew cost at least $2,000. She picked at her food, avoiding my eyes. Jake and I are doing fine, Mom. We're not kids anymore. You don't need to worry about our finances. I'm not worried, I lied. I just want to make sure you're saving for your future. Remember what I always say: live below your means, save 20% and invest early. She finished mimicking my tone. I've heard it 1,000,000 times, Mom. Trust me, we're handling it. But the evidence suggested otherwise. Their social media showcased a lifestyle that I knew exceeded their combined salaries. Weekend trips to New York City, front row concert tickets, a steady parade of electronic gadgets and designer clothes. I tried to reconcile the math, and it simply didn't add up. Little did I know the numbers would soon reveal a betrayal I never saw coming. It began like any ordinary Tuesday. I woke at 5:30, completed my morning yoga, and made my standard breakfast of oatmeal with blueberries. My phone pinged with an alert as I was pouring my second cup of coffee. Then another ping, and another. My bank was sending transaction notifications, several large purchases in quick succession. Normally, I might receive 1 or 2 such alerts in a month, not 3 in 5 minutes. My first thought was fraud. Someone had skimmed my card or hacked my account. I sat down at my kitchen table and opened my banking app. My heart raced as I scrolled through the transactions. $2,800 to Hawaiian Airlines, $3,600 to the Grand Wailea Resort, $1,200 at Nobu Restaurant. Shopping charges at high-end retailers, Saks Fifth Avenue, Lululemon, Sephora. My hands trembled as I switched to my other accounts. The pattern continued across all my cards. Someone had gone on a spending spree of epic proportions. I calculated quickly nearly $25,000 in charges over 3 days. I took a deep breath and tried to think rationally. The transactions all pointed to one location, Hawaii, specifically Maui. But how would a random fraudster gain access to all my accounts simultaneously? That's when a sickening thought formed in my mind. I logged into my email and searched for travel confirmations. There they were: flight itineraries, hotel bookings, restaurant reservations, all under one name, Melissa Anderson, my daughter. The room seemed to spin. I gripped the edge of the table to steady myself. Melissa had taken my credit card information, not just from the emergency card she had access to, but somehow she'd obtained the numbers for all my accounts. I immediately dialed her number, straight to voicemail. I texted, "Call me immediately, emergency." No response. I searched her Instagram and found a photo posted just 3 hours earlier, Melissa, at Boston Logan Airport, holding a mimosa in the first-class lounge. The caption read, "Surprise getaway with my love and best friends. 6 days in paradise, here we come blessed, vacation mode." The pieces fell into place with horrifying clarity. Melissa hadn't just booked a trip for herself and Jake. According to the reservations, she'd booked for 5 people, taking their friends Amber, Tyler, and Zoe along for the luxury vacation. I returned to the transaction list, scrutinizing each charge with my accountant's precision. First-class round-trip tickets for 5 people. A 3-bedroom ocean view suite for 6 nights. Prepaid dinner reservations at the island's finest restaurants. Shopping sprees for new swimwear, sunglasses, and resort attire. Helicopter tours. Snorkeling excursions. Spa packages. My daughter had effectively stolen $25,000 from me to treat herself and her friends to a luxury Hawaiian vacation. My initial shock gave way to a wave of nausea. How could she do this? What was she thinking? Had I raised a daughter capable of such deception? The questions pounded in my head like a migraine. I tried calling again, voicemail. Her flight was likely already in the air. I checked the flight details. They would land in Maui at 4:30 in the afternoon. Hawaii time, 10:30 at night. Boston time, 9 hours from now. I had 9 hours to decide how to respond to my daughter's betrayal. 5 hours after discovering the theft, Melissa finally answered my call. I had spent those hours alternating between fury, heartbreak, and disbelief, but I managed to keep my voice steady. "Hey, Mom. Can't talk long, we're boarding our connection in LA." Her voice sounded carefree, excited. "Melissa," I said carefully, "I need you to explain the charges on my credit cards." A pause. "Oh, I was going to tell you about that when we got back. Surprise?" Her laugh sounded hollow, nervous. "Jake and I have been working so hard and we really needed this break. I'm going to pay you back, I promise." $25,000, Melissa. That's not a spur-of-the-moment decision. That's grand theft. "Mom, don't be so dramatic. It's not like I'm a stranger using your cards. I'm your daughter." "That makes it worse," I replied, my voice catching. "You took not just one card, but information from all my accounts without permission. You spent half a year's worth of mortgage payments on a vacation for yourself and friends." "We deserved a nice vacation. Do you know how stressed we've been? Jake's been working 60-hour weeks, and my boss is a complete nightmare. Besides, you always talk about how you want me to be happy." "Happy you think happiness comes from stealing from betraying your mother's trust." There was muffled conversation on her end. Then Jake's voice came through. "Kay, hey, we're just having some fun. You know Melissa works her butt off. We all do. It's just a little vacation, no big deal." I felt my blood pressure rising. "Put my daughter back on the phone." Melissa returned. "Mom, seriously, I don't understand why you're so upset. It's not like you can't afford it. You're always saying how your investments are doing well." "That's not the point, Melissa. You had no right." "Oh, we're boarding now. Gotta go. We'll send you lots of pictures. Love you." She hung up before I could respond. I sat in stunned silence, staring at my phone. Within minutes, I received a notification, a new Instagram post from Melissa, a selfie of her group boarding their flight to Maui, captioned, "Best friends, best boyfriend, best vacation ever. Mom's treating us to the trip of a lifetime, and blessed. Thanks, Mom." My stomach churned. Not only had she stolen from me, but she was publicly declaring I had generously funded this extravagant trip. Comments were already appearing. "Your mom is amazing. Wish my mom would do that for me. Mom of the Year award?" I tried calling back. No answer. I sent text messages outlining exactly how serious her actions were. No response. I emailed a detailed breakdown of all the unauthorized charges, explaining the potential legal ramifications of credit card fraud. No reply. As the day progressed, more social media updates appeared. The group had landed in Maui. Check-in at the Grand Wailea Resort. Poolside cocktails. Sunset on the beach. Each post twisted the knife deeper, especially those thanking me for my generosity. By evening, I had made 10 attempts to reach Melissa. Each call went to voicemail. Each message and email went unread or ignored. That night, I couldn't sleep. The betrayal wasn't just about the money, though. $25,000 was no small sum. It was about the complete disregard for boundaries, for honesty, for the values I thought I had instilled in her. It was about my daughter believing she was entitled to take whatever she wanted from me without consequences. As dawn broke, I realized something had to be done. My daughter needed to learn that actions have consequences, real significant consequences. I spent a sleepless night cycling through emotions, anger, disappointment, betrayal, and worst of all, questioning whether I had somehow failed as a mother. By morning, I realized I needed perspective from someone who wasn't emotionally involved. I called my best friend Susan, who had known Melissa since she was a toddler. Susan had raised 2 sons who were now responsible adults with families of their own. She did what? Susan exclaimed after I explained the situation. Kay, that's not just irresponsible, that's criminal. I know, I replied, my voice barely audible. I just don't understand how she could do this. The question isn't how she could do it, it's what you're going to do about it, Susan said firmly. If you let this slide, what message does that send? That she can take advantage of you without consequences. Susan was right. This wasn't a teenage indiscretion or a momentary lapse in judgment. This was a deliberate, calculated act that required planning and deception. My accountant's mind began working through the practical options. I called each of my credit card companies to understand my alternatives. Since Melissa was an authorized user on one card, those charges would be harder to dispute. But she had never been authorized on the others, which meant I could report those charges as fraudulent. We can begin the fraud investigation process, the Chase representative explained. But you should know that if this is a family member, you may be asked whether you want to press charges. Press charges against my own daughter. The thought made me physically ill. Alternatively, the representative continued, we can simply cancel the cards and issue new ones. The pending charges would be canceled if they haven't been fully processed. That caught my attention. Pending charges? You mean like hotel reservations that haven't been checked out yet? Exactly. Hotels typically place a hold on the card at check-in, but the final charge isn't processed until checkout. I thanked the representative and hung up. A plan began forming in my mind, one that would deliver a meaningful lesson without legal consequences. I called the other card companies and received similar information. Most of the reservations were still pending authorizations, not final charges. I pulled up the itinerary from Melissa's email confirmations. They had already landed in Maui and checked into their hotel. They had 5 more days of their vacation ahead of them. What if I let them enjoy just enough of their stolen paradise to feel secure and then pulled the financial rug out from under them? The practical side of me hesitated. I didn't want to put my daughter in physical danger, but she and her friends were adults all with jobs and, presumably, their own credit cards. They wouldn't be completely stranded without resources. They would just face the consequences of their actions in a very real, very immediate way. I decided to wait until their second day, when they would be settled in, but still have most of their vacation ahead of them. I mapped out exactly what I would do: cancel all my credit cards, call the hotel to explain the situation, cancel the remaining reservations for activities and restaurants. I made one final attempt to reach Melissa, leaving a voicemail. Melissa, what you've done is completely unacceptable. I've tried to talk to you about this like adults, but you've ignored me. There will be consequences for your actions. Call me back immediately. No response came. Instead, a new batch of Instagram posts appeared. Champagne toasts at an oceanfront restaurant, a sunset cruise, shopping bags from luxury boutiques. Each post tagged with "blessed" and #thanks mom. That cemented my resolve. I set my alarm for 6 a.m. the following morning, noon in Hawaii, when I knew they would likely be out enjoying their ill-gotten vacation. Then I would execute my plan. As I prepared for bed, doubts crept in. Was I being too harsh? Would this permanently damage our relationship? But then I remembered Melissa's cavalier attitude, her complete lack of remorse, her public lies about my generosity. No, this lesson was necessary. Sometimes love means allowing people to face the consequences of their choices. At exactly 6 a.m. Boston time, my alarm chimed. I knew it was noon in Hawaii. Melissa and her friends would be well into their day of luxury and leisure. According to her latest social media posts, they had a snorkeling excursion planned, followed by lunch at an exclusive beachside restaurant. I sat at my kitchen table with my laptop phone and a notepad listing every account number, reservation, and action item in my plan. I took a deep breath and began. First, I called American Express. I need to report my card as compromised and cancel it immediately, I explained to the representative. I'm sorry to hear that, Ms. Anderson. Can you verify the last few transactions so we can identify any fraudulent charges? The charges to Hawaiian Airlines Grand Wailea Resort and several restaurants in Maui, all unauthorized. I see those transactions. I'll cancel this card immediately and issue a new one. The pending authorizations will be declined going forward. I repeated this process with each credit card company, Chase, Citibank, Bank of America. One by one, each representative expressed sympathy for my situation and promptly canceled the cards. Some offered to open fraud investigations, which I declined for now. This wasn't about punishing Melissa legally, it was about teaching her a valuable life lesson. Next, I called the Grand Wailea Resort. "Good morning, I'm calling about a reservation under Melissa Anderson," I said when the receptionist answered. "I'm Kay Anderson, Melissa's mother, and I need to inform you that the credit card used for this booking was used without authorization." "I understand, Ms. Anderson. The reservation is for a 3-bedroom ocean view suite for 5 guests checking out in 4 days." "Yes, that's correct. The initial authorization went through, but I've now canceled that card. I wanted to let you know directly so your hotel can make appropriate arrangements." "Thank you for informing us. Unfortunately, without valid payment, we would need the guests to provide another form of payment or vacate the room. Would you like to provide an alternative payment method?" "No, I would not," I said firmly. "The guests will need to handle that themselves." After the hotel, I methodically worked through every reservation in their itinerary. The Sunset Dinner Cruise Company was understanding when I explained the situation. So was the helicopter tour operator, the luxury shopping boutique, with the pending clothing order, and the spa where they had scheduled massages. One by one, I dismantled the stolen vacation. Not out of spite, but out of a deep conviction that this was necessary for Melissa's growth. Actions have consequences, a lesson I had apparently failed to instill effectively until now. As I finished my calls, I checked Melissa's Instagram. A new photo showed the group on a catamaran, drinks in hand, with the caption, "Living our best life, no regrets." The irony wasn't lost on me. No regrets yet. I knew what would happen next. They would return from their excursion to find their key cards deactivated. When they went to the front desk, they would learn that the credit card on file had been declined and canceled. Every remaining reservation would be canceled. The fantasy vacation would come crashing into reality. At precisely 1:45 p.m. Boston time, my phone rang. Melissa's name flashed on the screen. "Mom!" Her voice was frantic, nearly hysterical. "What did you do? The hotel says our credit card was canceled. They're saying we need to pay $12,000 or leave immediately." "I canceled my credit cards, Melissa. The ones you used without permission to fund your vacation." "How could you do this to me? We're stranded here. They're threatening to call security if we don't vacate the room." "No, Melissa. The question is, how could you do this to me? How could you steal $25,000 from your mother? How could you publicly lie claiming I generously treated you and your friends?" "I was going to pay you back," she cried. "With what money?" "Melissa, your combined income with Jake barely covers your apartment and lifestyle in Boston. Where was this magical repayment going to come from?" "I don't know. I would have figured it out, Mom. Please, this is humiliating. My friends are freaking out." Jake's voice suddenly came through. "Kay, this is completely out of line. You can't just strand us in Hawaii. We could sue you for this." I nearly laughed at the irony. "Sue me for canceling my own credit cards after they were used fraudulently. Please consult a lawyer. While you're at it, ask them about the penalties for credit card fraud, which can include up to 10 years in prison." There was stunned silence on the other end. "Mom," Melissa's voice returned softer now, pleading, "what are we supposed to do? You're all adults with jobs and presumably your own credit cards. Figure it out. Actions have consequences, Melissa. This is yours. We can't afford this place on our own, and our return flight isn't for 5 days." Then you'll need to find more affordable accommodations and perhaps change your flights. I'm sure between the 5 of you, you can manage to get yourselves home." "I can't believe you're doing this to me," she whispered. "I can't believe you did this to me," I responded, my voice breaking slightly. "When you're ready to have an adult conversation about what you've done, I'll be here." I ended the call, my hands shaking. My phone immediately began buzzing with texts from Melissa, from Jake, even from one of their friends, all pleading angry, desperate. I silenced my phone and placed it face down on the table. This was one of the hardest things I'd ever done as a parent. But sometimes love means allowing your child to face the mess they've created. The aftermath unfolded in real time through a combination of frantic phone calls, text messages, and suddenly silent social media accounts. 3 hours after our initial conversation, Melissa called again. Her voice was hoarse from crying. "We had to leave the resort," she said quietly. "We're at a motel in Kihei now. It's $500 a night for 2 rooms." "That's still quite expensive for a motel," I noted. "It's high season in Maui. Mom, everything is expensive. We lost all our deposits and prepayments for activities. The restaurant where we had dinner last night is threatening to call the police because the card was declined after we left." "Did you explain the situation and make arrangements to pay them?" A long silence. "Jake paid it with his emergency card. He's furious with me. Everyone is. Amber and Tyler are barely speaking to me. They think I lied about you approving this trip. And you did lie, Melissa. To them and to everyone on social media. I just wanted to give everyone an amazing experience, I thought. I don't know what I thought. That you wouldn't notice, that you'd forgive me once you saw how happy we were." I sighed. $25,000 isn't something anyone simply wouldn't notice, Melissa. That's more than some people make in half a year. I received another call later that evening from a number I didn't recognize. It was Zoe, one of Melissa's friends on the trip. "Ms. Anderson, I'm so sorry about all this. I had no idea Melissa didn't have your permission. She told us you wanted to treat us because of how hard we've all been working." "I appreciate the apology, Zoe, but I've never met you. Why would I spend thousands of dollars on your vacation?" "I know it sounds crazy now. We should have questioned it. I'm trying to book an earlier flight home, but the change fees are astronomical. My parents are wiring me emergency money." Word continued to spread. Melissa's phone apparently died, and she had to borrow Jake's to call me the next morning. Jake's parents called. They're livid. They said he should break up with me because I'm financially irresponsible. Her voice cracked. "He's not defending me anymore. He said I tricked him too." "Did you tell him I had approved all this?" A long pause. "Yes." "So you lied to your boyfriend as well?" "I just wanted us to have this amazing experience. We worked so hard and everyone on Instagram has these perfect vacations, and I just wanted that for once. At my expense, without my knowledge or consent. I know it was wrong. I get it now. Mom, please, can you help us get home? We've called the airlines, but they want $2,000 to change our tickets to tomorrow instead of 3 days from now." "Melissa, you're 27 years old. You have a job. You have friends with jobs. This is a problem you created, and it's a problem you need to solve. I'll see you when you get back to Boston." 2 days later, I received a call from Jake's mother, Diane, whom I'd met several times at holiday gatherings. "Kay, I don't know whether to be furious with Melissa or concerned for her," Diane said. "Jake says she's had a complete breakdown. They're barely eating because they're trying to save money for the flight home." "They're not in any danger, Diane. They have shelter and access to food. They're just not enjoying the luxury vacation they thought they had stolen." "I understand your position, I really do. If Jake had done this, I'd be livid. But they're struggling to change their flights. The airlines are booked solid or charging extortionate change fees." I considered this. I was teaching Melissa a lesson, not punishing her friends or Jake's parents who were now worried. "I'll book them economy flights home," I conceded. "One-way tickets, basic fare, no extras. They can make their own way to the airport." Thank you, Kay. For what it's worth, I think Jake's learned a valuable lesson about who he chooses to trust. The next day, I received a notification that Jake had ended his relationship status with Melissa on Facebook. One of their friends, Tyler, posted a vague update about finding out who your real friends are and the worst vacation experience ever. Melissa's social media remained completely silent. I booked 5 economy tickets from Maui to Boston with a red-eye connection through Los Angeles, the cheapest option available. I texted the confirmation to Melissa with one message: "Your flight home is booked. We'll talk when you return." Her only response was thank you. According to the flight details, they would arrive back in Boston at 6 a.m. on Sunday. Despite everything, I found myself getting up early to drive to the airport. Whatever Melissa had done, she was still my daughter. I waited at arrivals, watching as weary travelers emerged from the terminal. Finally, I saw them, 5 disheveled young adults wearing rumpled vacation clothes, clearly not suitable for the Boston autumn weather. Melissa lagged behind the group. Her friends walked ahead, pointedly separate from her. Jake avoided even looking in her direction. When she saw me, Melissa's face crumpled. She ran forward and collapsed against me in tears. "I'm sorry, Mom," she sobbed into my shoulder. "I'm so sorry." I held her tightly, my own eyes filling with tears. "Let's go home," I said quietly. "We have a lot to talk about." A month after the Hawaii fiasco, Melissa sat across from me at my kitchen table, the same table where I had discovered her theft, and executed my response. The atmosphere was different now. We were drinking tea, having just finished a simple dinner I'd prepared. "The financial counselor said I need to create a strict budget and stick to it for at least a year," Melissa said, showing me the spreadsheet on her laptop. "She helped me set up automatic transfers to my savings account and a separate account for paying you back." I nodded, examining the numbers. "It's a good start, realistic, but disciplined." The journey to this point hadn't been easy. When we returned from the airport that Sunday morning, Melissa had slept for 14 hours straight, emotionally and physically exhausted. When she finally emerged from the guest room, we had our first real conversation. "I've lost everything," she'd said, eyes puffy from crying. "My boyfriend, my friends, my self-respect, my apartment too, probably. Jake wants me out by the end of the month." "Actions have consequences," I had replied. "But this doesn't have to define the rest of your life. It's what you do now that matters." Together we had established a 3-part plan for moving forward therapy to address her impulse control and need for external validation, financial counseling to develop better money management skills, and a structured repayment plan for the money she had spent. Melissa had moved back home temporarily. Her former apartment held too many memories with Jake, and practically speaking, she couldn't afford it alone. Living with me allowed her to save money while we rebuilt our relationship through honest conversations. "My therapist thinks I've been trying to fill an emptiness with external validation," Melissa explained, closing her laptop. "She says I got caught up in performing happiness on social media instead of actually being happy." "Do you think that's true?" I asked. Melissa stared into her tea. "Yeah. When Dad left, I think I developed this fear of not being enough. Like if I wasn't perfect, if I didn't have the perfect life, people would abandon me. So I created this illusion of perfection, even if I had to lie or steal to maintain it." Her insight surprised me. I had been so focused on the financial betrayal that I hadn't fully considered the emotional wounds that might have driven her behavior. "I'm not excusing what I did," she continued. "It was wrong, period. But I'm trying to understand why I did it so I never make that kind of mistake again." To help pay me back more quickly, Melissa had taken a weekend job at a local coffee shop in addition to her marketing position. Her social media accounts remained dormant. When I asked about her friends, she shrugged. Zoe texted once to check if I got home okay. The others haven't spoken to me. I don't blame them. 6 months later, the transformation was remarkable. Melissa had repaid nearly $7,000 of the debt. She'd been promoted at her main job due to her renewed focus and dedication. The therapy was clearly helping. She spoke more openly about her feelings and had developed healthier coping mechanisms for stress. Most importantly, our relationship had evolved. The betrayal had forced us to communicate with a new level of honesty. We discussed topics we had previously avoided, her lingering pain from the divorce, my workaholism as a coping mechanism, our different perspectives on what constituted success and happiness. "I never thought I'd say this," Melissa admitted during a Sunday walk along the Charles River, "but getting caught was the best thing that could have happened to me. I was living in this fantasy world, trying to keep up with influencers and friends who were probably just as fake as I was." "And now?" I asked. "Now I'm learning to appreciate reality. My small savings account that I built honestly. My job that I'm actually good at. My relationship with you, which is more authentic than it's been in years." Jake had moved on, now dating someone new according to mutual friends. Melissa had connected with a support group for people recovering from social media addiction, making new friendships based on authenticity rather than appearances. As for me, I had done my own soul searching, had my emphasis on financial responsibility inadvertently created pressure that contributed to Melissa's breakdown. Had I been so focused on teaching her about money that I'd neglected to address the emotional wounds from her father's departure? There were no simple answers, but I was committed to being more attentive to the whole person my daughter was becoming, not just her financial choices. "You know what's weird, Mom?" Melissa said one evening as we washed dishes together. "I don't even miss the designer stuff or the fancy restaurants. I was never really enjoying them. I was just enjoying people's reactions when I posted about them." That insight encapsulated the most valuable lesson from this painful experience. True worth can't be measured in dollars or social media likes. It comes from integrity, honest relationships, and self-respect, none of which can be bought with a stolen credit card. The road ahead would still have challenges. Trust once broken takes time to rebuild. But watching Melissa take responsibility for her actions, face consequences with growing maturity, and genuinely work to make amends, gave me hope that this difficult chapter would ultimately strengthen both of us. Sometimes the hardest lessons teach us the most, and sometimes what looks like a devastating betrayal can become the foundation for a deeper, more authentic relationship, one built on honesty, accountability, and genuine love. I'm curious to know if you've ever had to teach someone a difficult lesson about responsibility. Leave a comment below sharing your experience. Did you have to let someone face natural consequences? How did it turn out? Don't forget to like this video if you found my story helpful, subscribe to hear more real-life experiences, and share with someone who might need to hear that sometimes tough love is the kindest gift we can give. Thank you for listening to my story, and remember, integrity might be tested in crisis, but it's built in daily choices.